Okay, we're continuing on with some Q&A for segment 8. A lot of little questions. So Silent Bliss says, I misunderstood the question about what do I see on my feet. I saw a red apple and a small piece of mirror beside my feet. Only when I was walking along the pathway in the forest did I look down and see that I had white pointy shoes on. After leaving the forest, I noticed that the shoes were red. Could you provide some explanation? Yeah. Okay. So I'll just make a comment about the red apple in the mirror. That red apple says you're learning. That's the apple. It's a symbol of learning. It is connected to being willing to look at yourself. That's the mirror. Okay, the white pointy shoes, they are pointing to a need to clean out your life. Okay, that's on the way in. A need to clean out things that don't have any meaning anymore, things that you need to update. You need to update so you don't get old, so you don't get old before your time. Okay, the red shoes on the way back indicate that clean out is in process and you're moving quickly. Okay, red is passion, hurry, rush, all of that. So, don't give yourself too much trouble. Okay. Sue says I was given some Crocs as a gift and I traded them in for thongs. Crocs, I love this, Sue. So the Crocs indicate a realization that all the stuff that you were thinking, believing about intuition or the spirituality or New Age stuff was just a crock of you know what. And you are trading them in for thongs. Okay. Thongs mean those are relaxed shoes that you wear when you want to relax. Okay. So it's a good sign. You are relaxing as you learn and no longer believing there's a lot of stuff out there that is just absolutely useless in terms of developing yourself, unfortunately. So a lot of, what do they call that? A lot of pat answers that's just warmed over religion. It's all a crock. So, yeah. Juju Bear is back and she says, my house was a tiny miniature round yurt. Super tiny, like Alice in Wonderland tiny. What does that mean? Do I need to downsize big time? It might mean that. It might also mean that the structure of yourself needs to go back to the beginning and develop a more rounded approach to life. A yurt is a round structure. It's also very natural, made of natural materials. Who is the natural you? What is that you, what does he or she, doesn't say Juju whether you are a girl or a boy. But the miniature round yurt says, start from the beginning. It may be a journey for you that for a while is like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. Like the Alice in Wonderland journey. But it really is it's a wonderful way to start. Okay. Going back to the core center of yourself. What is your sphere of being? Okay. Next, we have Blue Farmer, who says, from bare feet to boots, teleportation and jumping, an older me and a gem with blinding light, evidently in the room. I thought I would not be able to see anything while grieving, but I was surprised. Now, whatever does all that mean? So bare feet says, well, I really wasn't ready for this journey, or I didn't know how to begin. I didn't have a place to start. I didn't have a way to start. I didn't have any protection, any information that would allow me to start. But the boots on the way back, that says, whoa, I'm ready for some heavy work here. I will be working on myself. So very good. Teleportation and jumping. Yeah, that's like, let me use some advanced methods here. Let me just move myself where I need to be. So if you're, and let me just, because you mentioned grieving, teleportation means being able to put yourself where you want, come back and grieve a little, put yourself where you want, away from that grief, come back and grieve a little. It takes a long time to grieve, especially if it was somebody that you really loved or somebody you were close to. So the older you with the gem and the blinding light, that's you. You are a gem as you get older. So if you, I don't know how old you are, but if you have thought that getting older was going to make you much less, that's not the case here. You are going to turn into a gem. And the blinding light means that you're going to surprise people with the light that you shed, the comments that you make in conversations, in your work, in your day-to-day living. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so M. Sellers says, it would really be nice to know what it means. I went from bare feet to boots, but I'm very curious about the alien-looking humanoid lady, evidently in the room, and my structure being a mausoleum. Okay. Or maybe I don't really want to know. No, you want to know. That's good. My gift doesn't make sense to me either now that I think about it. It was music. To be exact, I can't sing or dance, and I haven't played an instrument since the clarinet in the high school band. Hopefully we can get some kind of insight soon. The suspense is killing me. The suspense is killing me in this time of instant gratification. LOL. Yeah. Okay, so the bare feet is what I just said to Blue Farmer, not being prepared, not ready, not having the right information, maybe not emotionally ready, et cetera, But boots, going from bare feet to boots, that's like, okay, I get it. I'm ready to do the work. I'm changing who I am, how I see the world. And then the alien-looking humanoid lady and your structure being a mausoleum, that says that humanoid alien woman is you. Okay, and you have put to rest, that's the mausoleum, the old you. Okay, alien looking just means this is somebody, I will be so different that I will hardly recognize myself. I will look like an alien to myself. I will have put my old self down for the dirt nap. Okay. So music is the gift. So the gift, you then go on to say, I haven't played music, you don't sing, you don't dance, and you haven't played music since the clarinet. So what that gift is saying is get that clarinet out. What is a clarinet? It's clarity. It's clarity and an ability to build a whole new network of thoughts, ideas, understandings of reality, connections to people, the nature of reality itself, all of that. So it's a wonderful, wonderful gift. And that, when you start getting out the music, when you get out the clarinet, you are at that point becoming a whole different person. That's the clear alien looking woman in that you didn't recognize at all. So, very good. Okay. Let's see here. So then Dharma says, what does it mean If some, not all, of the images and locations are remembered from real life and incorporated into the what you imagined. It just means that you need to understand that everything in real life has a symbolic message. Everything is energy. So those things that you imagine, if you pick those out of your memory and brought them into this guided imagery, that's fine. You know, whatever they were has a message for you. You don't say what any of them are. Next, we have Sammy saying, I had okay white nursing shoes since I was a nurse for 30 years. The fence wasn't actually wood, but limbs of redwood trees. I followed an old path around the lake, and all of mine were not mentioned, and I'd like to know. I saw some large rocks in the front, but as I walked around, it was a windowed structure and a door. It was to obscure what was in the front. I think that's what that says. Okay. So the white nursing shoes, that typically points to a need for healing. Okay. And that you are already a healer, but that typically means this is a journey into the self. There are some areas that will need to be healed. Could be physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. Okay. And the fact that you were a nurse says that you know something about healing. So the fence wasn't actually wood, but it was the limbs of a redwood tree. Yeah, it is wood. A redwood tree is wood. You mean it wasn't cut wood. It wasn't cut and shaped and plain, but it was still a wood. And the redwood is an ancient tree. It says that you have connections to the ancient times, and it's really a very powerful tree. It has an amazing staying power. And that might fit right in with the need for healing. You have amazing staying power, courtesy of that redwood tree. And the red, that says, go at it with passion. Do that healing with a passion. The old path around the lake, that's like, okay, I'm done with drama. A lake is big emotion, but going around it says, okay, I don't need to get caught up in that. That may indicate avoiding emotions, and it may indicate picking and choosing what emotions you are going to get involved in. What are you going to get caught up in? You know, not wanting a whole lot of useless drama. The large rocks in front of the structure, it was a windowed structure and it had a door, but the rocks were meant to obscure what was in front. So the fact that the structure had windows and a door, but there's a lot of rocks in front of it, that indicates that you've really pretty much barricaded yourself. And that might have been a need to preserve yourself. When you're a nurse, a lot of times you're dealing with life and death every single day. It's right there in your face. So those rocks might be to keep you from feeling too much, and yet you're seeing there's a door into the structure. So you walked around it, and you didn't say you went in. So let's hope that you did. Okay, past the rocks. Okay, very good. So next we have G.S. Lawrence. And G.S. Lawrence says, I saw a beautiful water fountain. Then when I walked around it to the door, all I saw was the door with the handle. What would a water fountain represent? A water fountain represents your sexual life. So that's how there may be a question about how to handle sex, sexuality, lovemaking, et cetera, et cetera. You didn't say water is also a lot of emotion. Sex is a huge amount of emotion. And so you don't say what happened or what did you go behind the water fountain or, what was the gift or any of that? But all of that would point to how do you handle this issue? And it may be your issue, your sexual issue, it may be somebody else's. If it's a spouse, that's a problem sometimes. So just be aware that the beautiful water fountain, the fact that you described it as beautiful says that some part of you is understanding that this is a beautiful thing. And sex, lovemaking, that it is a beautiful thing. Amazing. It's the doorway to a lot of deeper spirituality. So nice. So Katz is next and says, my gift was a walking stick, which was engraved with the flower of life geometric pattern. Not sure about that meaning. So a walking stick is support for the journey. Being able to hold yourself up, hold yourself together, and unfold that flower of life within. That's the next dimension. That's a fourth dimensional symbol. So fourth and fifth. Very nice. Lily says, why was the wheat field cut down when I came back from the forest? Okay, Lily, the wheat field is your job, your career, your way of making money. And the caution here is to be aware that as you unfold yourself, your interest, your willingness to continue doing what you're doing may change, and you may no longer be interested in making money the way that you have been making money. So yeah, so don't just quit your job. A lot of people often in the process of spiritual awakening, I want to do this, and they quit what they're doing, and then they just fall into an economic pit. Be careful. Don't jump out of the frying pan and into the fire. But be aware that there may be a change coming from your job or your career. Next, we have K1. K1 says, what would a field of stubble from grain just harvested be? It may have been wheat that had just been harvested, as I was just reading about how to do that last night. The person in the structure was my late husband. Not sure what I could learn from him at the moment. We didn't trigger each other. We were a lot alike and we got along very well. Interesting, though, that he handed me a ring in a box, just like my engagement and wedding ring. Okay, Kate, that's beautiful. So the field of stubble from grain just harvested, you may be ready to retire. A wheat field, a grain field. You didn't say wheat, but you said it may have been wheat just harvested. So that indicates that you may have just been confronted with having to retire, or needing to retire, or thinking, I could retire if I wanted to, that kind of thing. The stubble, that's a warning that says, be careful. You may be entering into hard times. So stubble usually means stumbling forward. Okay. And that's okay. It's a way to learn. The grain, you use the word grain. That grain indicates stumbling over how you are, your grain, the grain in yourself. What is the natural, when we talk about the grain in wood or the grain in fabric or, that kind of thing, what's the pattern? What's the design? That's the grain in yourself. What do you naturally gravitate toward? What do you love? What would you love to be doing with your life? So the person in the structure was your late husband. So he symbolizes the male side of yourself. And that side should have been partially developed just in the relationship with him when he was alive. But he's given you an engagement ring that says, engage your male self and start to develop the power of that male. That's a tall order. Okay. So Kara is next, and she says, the structure I saw was a pavilion with large marble columns holding up a roof. What does this mean? And she also says, my gift was a compass. Ooh, what does that mean? So the structure, the large pavilion, it indicates that the road for you, the path for you is open and paved. Pavilion. Okay? And it's an open structure. You can see 360 degrees. And there's a roof, means it got a little bit of protection from the rain. It also indicates that you may have connections in two directions. One is among the Greeks or ancient Egyptians, and two among the Hawaiian, the Polynesian islands. Okay, they use a lot of that kind of structure, and usually structures where you've had past lives, those structures will show up in these kinds of imagery sessions. So the gift being a compass, that's a natural ability to find your own way. Beautiful gift. Can't get lost with a compass. Hopefully you know how to use it. Okay. So beautiful gift. Next we have so this rising or south this rising or something like that. It says, I experienced a largely golden theme. I started off in a greenish gold field, climbed over a barbed wire fence, walked barefoot through golden sand at the bottom of a clear creek, saw golden light filtering down along the path, came upon a small cabin with a golden door handle in the shape of a wing, encountered an energetic being with a golden head and shoulders, but a dark body, who gave me a gold-wrapped box tied with green ribbon. Walking back, most things were unchanged except the creek had turned into a small pond, and I saw that my well-loved slippers had turned into golden slippers. I finally opened the box and found a golf ball-sized gold nugget. Ooh. This seems largely positive, except for the energetic being that seemed a bit disembodied. So all of that gold indicates that you have a real gift in terms of higher consciousness. Just open it, start using it. That's that gold nugget. There's something in you that knows. Okay. The shape of a wing says, let that consciousness take flight. That's the door handle. Okay. And the disembodied person, you described that person as being disembodied. It didn't sound like they were disembodied. It sounded like they just hadn't been fully embodied. And that would be you embodying that consciousness. Okay? Great. And it is. It's a very positive set of symbols. So keep going. Keep developing. Noodle Z says, my gift was from a North American Indian. He gave me a beautiful music box for meditation. Wow. Okay. So the North American Indian almost always symbolizes you have connections or past lives there. And that may be the shadow side of yourself, is really would have loved to have been a musician or to use music in some way, or to have a business based on music or something of that sort. The other thing about a music box is that you are being asked to listen to the music within. What kind of music flows through you? What is, quote, music to your ears, music to your mind? Okay. Good gift. Earth Dragon, Joanne, says, I'm confused. I love bare feet. Anytime I can go without shoes, etc., I'm happy. I walked across the clear creek in bare feet. It felt so good. I received the gift of spirit. Not sure what that means. But in the end, question 16, I felt I still had spirit work to do. In the old house, I met a man I did not know. He gave me the gift. The door handle was copper and engraved. I've been trying to figure this out according to your descriptions, but I'm missing the above somehow. Okay. So bare feet, that just means that maybe you're not as prepared for the journey as you think. Sometimes we think we know, and so that keeps us from reaching any further. So, and bare feet, bare feet is not a bad thing. It just often indicates that you haven't set up any way to move forward smoothly without any hurt. You need some protection, okay? Something on your feet is protection for your feet, for the journey. And yeah, I love bare feet too. Love it. So the creek, the gift of spirit, given by a man you did not know, that is the spirit of the male side of the self. And you know that, let's see. So you didn't really say what the gift was. So I'm not sure what that gift was, but depending, let's say it was a physical thing. Hang on a second. Okay. Okay, you did get a gift. The gift was spirit. That is the true spirit of yourself. Once you have incorporated the full self, the male and female side of the self, the whole self, you will have a different approach to the world, to the reality, to everything out there. And that's the spirit that you received. Once you incorporate that spirit, other gifts come. Okay? So don't think of that spirit as something that was like, oh, that's so vague. What do I do with that? You become real. That's what you do with it. Okay? Okay. And that door handle was copper. And it was engraved. That's not the first copper and door handle, but copper almost always means allowing energy to move through you. Copper is an electrical conductor. So let yourself feel. When you let electricity move through you, it changes how you feel. Okay. Okay, next we have Pearls. And Pearl says, that was very interesting. And I would love your interpretation of a few things since they weren't on your list. The fence was electric with a gate right in front of me that I knew very well and have opened many times. It is known territory. Okay, that seems quite clear to me after what you said about electric fences. The fence was not to keep me out, by the way, but to protect and safeguard what's inside. I clearly have free access whenever I want. So the structure was a gingerbread house. So question mark. I have a feeling about that, but I would like to have your input. My gift was a beautiful golden globus cruciger, ornamented with emeralds and rubies. Wow. Okay, I get the meaning of gold and the symbolism of the stones, but what do you have to say about the object itself? It's one that I can open, by the way. The globus cruciger can be open. And I still have to do that because what's in it is of great importance. I haven't seen anything yet. I'm looking forward to your response. Thanks a lot. So, couple things. You're quite right about the electric fence. It is, it's about honoring the power within you, the electricity. You're made of electricity, and it's protecting you and keeping you safe. Okay. The structure was a gingerbread house. So that gingerbread house symbolizes a lot of things that may end up changing drastically. Gingerbread is something to eat. It's sweet. It's easy. It's delicious. But it's not good for you. Okay. So, gingerbread is also a house or a structure that you have to move around in very gingerly, carefully, because gingerbread is not very sturdy. So that concerns me. Gingerbread is also fanciful. It's Bavarian. Gingerbread design is considered to be Bavarian. And it's fancy and it's got all these little pretties associated with it. But there's a lot of fancy detail that it really doesn't have anything to do with the core operation of a house, which is to keep you warm, keep the rain off of you, and provide a place for you to sleep safely so that you don't get eaten out in the forest. So gingerbread, if that's your ideal house, well, I think, it would just be helpful to look and see how you might change or what that structure might be 6 months or a year from now. Okay, the globus cruciger, when I saw this, I had to stop and look it up. It is a very Christian-oriented object, and it indicates it's got emeralds and rubies, so it's a lot of beautiful jewels in that for you. But you didn't open it to see what was inside. That globus cruciger symbolizes the domination of the Christian church. So both of your main things here, your gingerbread house and your globus cruciger, are indicating that you may have some very fanciful Christian-oriented ideas, or you came from that kind of family life, and they may come under big change as you unfold your consciousness. So it's like I tell people, put your religion over there, don't dump it, just set it aside, and then unfold yourself, then go back and get what is meaningful. And you'll be surprised at how you see religion after you see what religion really is. And then you can celebrate some of the stuff that they do. But the Christian religion, the idea of that dominating, the question that I would ask is, are you allowing that to dominate your life? Having said that, let me add a little confusion to your path, which forces you to think about it and choose. Is that a path that you're following to get to quote unquote heaven, to bring heaven and earth together? Because the rubies and the emeralds, that says that there's some jewels in there for you. So that is maybe a valid path for you. And it may be a lonely path, but it may still be right for you. Okay. Okay. So then next we have Deb, who says, the person I saw in the large room was a wizard who reminded me of what Merlin might look like. And that's you, Deb. That's the skills that you have. Where is your wizardry located? That would be the question that would come up. What was the gift you got? That wizard is giving you a gift that you are to use like a wizard. Okay. Next, we have Blue Light, who says, my structure was a large, beautifully decorated teepee with a thick rope attached to the also decorated entry flap. I'd love to know what this means. Okay. So the beautifully decorated teepee, that's a very, very natural, teepees are very natural forms of home. Very simplified, very pointed. So, and the point in having a teepee is to live more in harmony with nature, to be closer to nature. If that's your ideal structure at this point in time, that thick rope connected to the entry flap says that to move into that kind of life would create a big flap in your life, in your family, among your friends and peers and so on. And the rope attached would be like you'd have to hang on. You would really have to hang on. So interesting. Lots of people come up with symbols that point to, my God, I just love to simplify my life and integrate Mother Nature into my life a little more. Okay, next we have AIM Central. What an incredible learning exercise. Containment, not just experiential. Your whole approach to helping my insights and understanding feels custom made just for me. Deep gratitude. It is custom made. I just give the direction. You supply the detail and it's custom made from you. That's the whole goal, is to bring you to yourself. You know, I don't need any power over you. I need power over me and insight into me. And everybody else needs the same thing. So, by the way, I take off my clothes to swim across the water and meet Jesus, who gifts me with a sponge, which is an in-story that happened in a meditation years ago between Jesus and me. It was a beautiful and life-changing experience. He had gifted me with a sponge that I couldn't use myself to clean off the dark spots of my being. He had to breathe on it before it would remove the spots. Okay. But this time in the journey, when he gave me the sponge, I now have the power to remove the spots myself. Whew. I realized the sponge was his love. Therefore, everything was different when I returned to the field, and I even got to frolic with dolphins in the swim back across the water. Wow. The whole containment was an act of joy, but one thing puzzles me. I had left my Tai Chi Gong shoes at the water when I got dressed again and stood blissfully in the field in my bare feet. A new beginning? I would love your response. Yes. When you leave your shoes behind, that means you're getting ready to walk a new path that you have no experience with, haven't walked before, maybe not ready to do it 100%, but it's like, no, I'm leaving those old shoes behind. And congratulations on the swim with the dolphins. Dolphins indicate the ability and an invitation to move into another dimension. Dolphins are the symbol of having the capacity to enter other dimensions of existence. Wow. Very nice. So yeah, congratulations on the sponge. Woo. Yeah, when you come into your own power, you can do it yourself. So congrats. Next, we have Worsley Now. And she says, my structure was a very large white angel. My person was Jesus. My gift was a box, and I realized before I got back to the water that the box contained two words. They were personal freedom. I'm very comfortable with these words. Do you have any comments about my structure or my gift? Okay, yes, I do. If that structure was an angel, the word angel means a messenger, someone here to give messages, to provide messages, and so on and so on. So, and the gift, Jesus is a state of being within the self. I know that the church has made Jesus into a person, and that's an ancient tradition that they were trying to carry forward. But the real Jesus is the move into an expanded consciousness. It's something that was commonly known and practiced by the women of the goddess who were alive during the matriarchy when God was a woman way back when. So so that whole thing, personal freedom, that's a gift for you, but that is also going to be the message that you give to people. They are personally free to be who they are, say what they need to say, do what they need to do, and you are not going to squabble over that. That's a tall order. Okay, but it's wonderful. Okay, so last one. This is from Bloom 3, who says, I was gifted a key by a man in a brown robe, and the name Martin came to me. Does the brown robe have a meaning? I'm reading your book, The Evolving Human, and on page 128, you mentioned the men with brown robes, but did not elaborate. Also, this question is about intuition, part 7. Why do some people sleepwalk? What is happening? Okay, so the key, anytime you get a key by anybody, that's a key to unlock your own wisdom, grace, and power. Beautiful, beautiful gift. Okay. The name Martin came to you. Martin is the name of a bird that symbolizes freedom. Okay. It also symbolizes sass, being sassy, speaking your piece, doing what you need to do. Okay. And the brown robe, yeah, the brown robes, there were I don't, well, I wrote a whole book called Robes. And it was about all the visits from these little men in brown robes who were showing me pictures of what was coming. And it's all happening now. You can read the book if you like. It's on Amazon. But the brown robe, that typically means someone who is very, very spiritual and very practical. And we don't usually put those two things together. People that are considered very practical are often not considered to be very spiritual, and vice versa. People spiritual are often thought to be, well, they don't care about the practical world. They don't care about food, clothing, shelter, money, transportation, et cetera, et cetera. And that's a very wrong or very, not wrong, it's a limiting kind of perspective. So the whole thing with brown robes has to do with very practical spirituality. In other words, becoming real, true spirituality. And the key that you got, it will help you unlock that. So, and then as for people sleepwalking, when you go to bed and you go to sleep, the body puts out a chemical that will paralyze you from the neck down, pretty much 90%. About 10% of your electrical system will be able to send messages to the brain. But when you're in bed and asleep and your consciousness goes off elsewhere to create experience for itself, and it's doing something, there are stories, there are some horror stories about people who went sleepwalking and, walked out the window of a 12-story building and fell to their death. You don't want that sort of thing to happen. And the body says, if you're not in this realm and paying attention, then I'm going to reduce your ability to respond to the signals and the messages going to your brain. The brain runs the body. So that's why people sleepwalk. They override that paralysis chemical, and they get up and they walk around. It doesn't have to be dangerous, but sometimes it is. Most times it's not. But when there's huge emotion and huge, what I'm going to say, electrical drivers coming from whatever the dream is that you're dreaming you're walking around in, then sometimes you will override that chemical. And other times, this is another perspective, when someone is exhausted, physically exhausted, they have been stressed, and they've used up all of their chemicals. The body doesn't have enough chemicals to make the paralysis drug that it makes naturally. And so let's say only, say 20 or 30%, the body's only able to make a drug that's strong enough to prevent 20% of your signal from getting through. And so 80% gets through and somebody gets up and sleepwalks. Okay. If there was an ET calling you outside, the ET will cancel some of the power of that drug. So it's a different subject. I probably shouldn't go there. Okay. So that's it for this Q&A. This is the end of Q&A for Intuition 1, Segment 8, which is guided imagery. And this is an addition to the guided imagery for the answers that I put out in Segment 9. Okay? So hopefully this is helpful. Take care.